Alright, what is up, boys? We are back for my predictions for this weekend's boxing card, headlined by Anthony Joshua vs. Otto Wallin and Deontay Wilder vs. Joseph Parker. And this is one of the best boxing cards in a long time, as long as I can remember. Now, in terms of actually competitive fights, there aren't too many on the card. But in terms of name value, this is one of the most stacked boxing cards I've ever seen. In the main event, we obviously got Anthony Joshua versus Otto Wallin. That has some interesting components to it. And then in the co-main event, which I don't really view as the co-main, I view this more as a dual main event than a main and co-main. But it makes sense as to why Joshua is ahead of Wilder, being a bigger star and all that. But we have Deontay Wilder versus Joseph Parker. That is a good fight. Wilder is always an entertaining fighter. Although he's not the most technical, he just always goes for the finish, and that makes him super fun to watch. Then we have Dmitry Bivol versus Lyndon Arthur. That's a fight, I guess. Bivol's making his return after a year, and Arthur can make some stuff happen. And then the best fight on the whole card, in my opinion, is Daniel Dubois versus Jarrell Miller. That fight is insane. It's also probably the most competitive fight on the whole card, maybe. The undefeated Filip Hrgovic is also on the card. He is a heavyweight that has tons of potential. Could be a champion one day. And then under that, we have 6 undefeated fighters all facing each other, which is insane. You never see that in boxing anymore. This card is crazy. We finally got Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua on the same card. Unfortunately, they're not fighting each other, but I did see a rumor that they already have a 2-fight deal signed before these fights even happen. But let's talk about what, in my opinion, is the best fight on the whole card. Daniel Dubois faces Jarrell Miller. Jarrell Miller is undefeated, although he hasn't faced really any high-level competition. Dubois is by far the best fighter he has ever seen so far, whereas Dubois has 2 losses, but those 2 losses are to Usyk, who in my opinion is the best heavyweight on the planet, and Joe Joyce, but that Joe Joyce loss has sort of aged poorly, especially with Dubois kind of quitting in the fight. Jarrell Miller kind of does the same thing to everyone. He walks forward continuously behind his high guard and looks to dirty box you up close. He doesn't have super high volume. He's not super defensive, kind of stands in front of you, doesn't really utilize head movement too well, but he's just a tank who won't go away, whereas Dubois is the much better boxer overall, way more technical, way faster, has much better footwork, can use his footwork, switch off at angles, uses jab well. That's something Jarrell Miller doesn't really do. And because Jarrell Miller doesn't throw out much volume and kind of just stands there to be hit, Dubois should be able to outbox him. Where the equalizer comes in and why I think this is a very competitive fight is the mentality difference between these two. Jarrell Miller, you can hit that guy over and over again and he's still going to walk forward, still going to come at you, whereas Dubois is known as a little bit of a quitter. Some people say he quit in the Usyk fight. He definitely seemed to quit in the Joe Joyce fight. If Jarrell Miller can pressure him back, cut off the ring, get in close, and start landing that right hand, look to the body, look to the head, landing with big, clean power punches. Dubois seems a little chinny to me, so I don't know how well he will take those shots. I'm pretty sure Dubois was dropped 3 times in a fight at one point. He was dropped against Usyk. He was dropped against Joyce. I actually think he took a knee against Joyce. So if Miller gets going, pressures Dubois, shutting him down offensively, and starts landing those good punches, I could see a world where Dubois takes a knee or just goes down. But in the end, I am going to pick Dubois. He is just the better boxer overall. I trust that he'll be able to keep Jarrell Miller out of range using his jab. His jab is going to be his best weapon. And using that jab, he can push Miller back, which is instantly going to take away Miller's best weapon, which is his power and his pressure. He can use his footwork, which is way better than Miller's, and attack on different angles. And Miller just doesn't have the volume to keep up with Dubois. He has the power, which could even everything out, but I think if this fight goes to a decision, Dubois will definitely win. I also question Miller's cardio, so in the end, I will go with Dubois, and I will take him by a later TKO, 9th or 10th round. Then we go to one of my favorite boxers, Dmitry Bivol, taking on Lyndon Arthur. To me, out of all the fights we're going to talk about today, this is the easiest to pick. Arthur has power. He can make some stuff happen. He's a good overall boxer, but he's just way less technical than Bivol. The only thing that worries me in this fight is the fact that Bivol has gone a year without fighting. He has been extremely inactive as of lately. In his last 2 fights, he beat Zurdo Ramirez and Canelo Alvarez, which are great wins. But that was over a year ago. He's been dealing with stuff outside of the ring, so that could affect him here, and I think it has to if Lyndon Arthur wants to win this fight, because if the same Bivol that fought Canelo shows up, I think he has pretty much no chance. Bivol is so technical, he's so fundamentally sound, everything he does is fundamentally perfect. I don't know if any of you watching this are basketball fans, but if I were to make a comparison, I would compare Bivol to Tim Duncan. I am a massive Tim Duncan fan, he's a huge inspiration to me, but Tim Duncan's nickname was the big fundamental because everything he did was fundamentally perfect. He didn't do anything flashy, but everything he did was right, and that is exactly how Bivol is. Bivol's footwork is amazing. It's nothing flashy like a Lomachenko or an Alexander Usyk, but it is fundamentally perfect. He has an amazing jab, one of the best jabs in all of boxing. He has a good left hook, a good right cross. He's very good defensively, has good head movement, has a really good guard, can mix it up to the body, use the body shots to open up the head. He doesn't have too much power. He hasn't knocked anyone out since 2018, but I think if there is a fight he's going to knock someone out in, it is this fight, but I will pick him to win, and I will take him by a decision. I think it'll be a pretty lopsided decision. I think Lyndon Arthur is going to have a really hard time outboxing Bivol unless he's taken a massive hit since his last fight over a year ago. I think Bivol wins behind his jab. I think he counters with the right hand as Lyndon Arthur tries to get around that jab. And I think if Arthur wants to win, he has to knock him out, and Bivol has never been knocked out, has an amazing chin, took good shots from Canelo and never got dropped, and he's just great defensively. That knockout shot is not going to be easy to get, so I'm definitely going to go with Bivol. And then we go to our co-main event slash dual main event fight. Deontay Wilder takes on Joseph Parker. It's not the AJ fight that we wanted, but it's still a fight, and watching Wilder is always fun. This is an interesting one because Parker could outbox Wilder for 5 rounds, 8 rounds, 10 rounds, and then get knocked out in the 11th. Wilder keeps his power throughout the entire fight, which is crazy because of how explosive he is. You wouldn't think his cardio would be as good as it is. It's not amazing. It's definitely not top tier like a Tyson Fury or an Alexander Usyk. He doesn't need to have insane cardio or volume because of just how hard he hits. He's the hardest hitting guy of all time in my opinion. Just look at his fight with Helenius where he barely touched him while he was on the ropes and moving away and knocked him out cold. Wilder is not very technical at all. We all know he relies completely on his power. He has a decent left hook that has a lot of power obviously, and a big overhand right. Those are his 2 main weapons. Doesn't really use a jab too much. He doesn't set up or hide his punches as well, but he just needs one. If he hits Parker once with 1 clean shot, Parker's going out cold. Now, Wilder is extremely hittable. Those big looping punches that he throws as he darts in and out of range. He's very explosive coming into range, but he keeps his chin up, keeps his hands low, and then he overextends on everything he throws, which leaves room for him to get countered. That's how Tyson Fury was able to beat him 2 times, and that's how Joseph Parker can win. Parker has shown more power, especially as of late with his knockout over Simon Kean. He's also fairly technical. He was able to outbox Andy Ruiz, he outboxed Derek Chisora, and if he can start getting some combinations going on Wilder's chin, Wilder is not super hard to hit, and I doubt Wilder's chin is the same coming out of those Fury fights, then I could absolutely see him knocking out Wilder. But here's the issue. Parker is a more technical boxer than Wilder. There are many guys, 30, 40 guys in that heavyweight division who are more technical than Wilder, who can outbox Wilder. The issue is Wilder always finds that shot. He can be getting outboxed for 10 rounds like he was against Luis Ortiz, and he'll still find it and he'll still knock you out. So I am going to go with Deontay Wilder. I'm going to take him by a decision. I'm just kidding. I'm going to take him by a 4th round knockout. I think Parker has some success. I think he uses his defense, which isn't bad, and avoids the big right hand from Wilder as he comes in. I think he puts combinations on Wilder. I think he outboxes him for the first few rounds. And I think in the 4th round, Wilder finds that big right hand, puts him down, and then after that, I think Wilder finishes him with a flurry of punches. Parker is good. He has a chance in this fight, but I just don't see him going 12 rounds without getting caught. And then we go to the main event, Anthony Joshua versus Otto Wallin. And this might be a bit of a hot take here, but I think we're in for an Anthony Joshua masterclass. I think Joshua's got his confidence back. He's been switching things around, which I like. He was training with Eddie Reynoso for a bit, who I think is the best trainer in all of boxing. Went over to the US, started training, got a different look here, and he also switched. He's with Ben Davis now. Ben Davis is in his corner. I don't think Ben Davis is his head trainer. trainer, but he's in his corner now, and I think Ben Davis is one of the best trainers in boxing. I always thought it was a mistake for Tyson to leave him. Although Sugar Hill's good, I think Tyson should have done his absolute best to keep Ben in that corner. After the Klitschko fight, and especially after the Andy Ruiz fight, it seemed like AJ had lost all his confidence, and he got beat down twice against Alexander Usyk. He sort of completely switched up his style. He used to be a power puncher back in the day who would have really quick, sharp combos, and then after he got dropped against Andy Ruiz and then got knocked out, it seemed like he lost all his confidence. He no longer wanted to take risks. He became more of a jab fighter. He would fight behind his jab only. Look at the difference between him and the first Ruiz fight and the second Ruiz fight. They don't even look like the same fighter. And then after the two Usyk fights, he fought Jermaine Franklin and won clearly, but he wasn't able to knock him out against the guy who should have been able to knock out. Didn't look great in that fight. And then he dominated Robert Helenius and finished him in the 7th round. So here's what I think happens. I think AJ comes out quick. Now, this is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because I think it gives AJ his best chance at winning this fight, his best chance at winning every single one of his fights. I think it gives him the best chance at beating Fury, Wilder, Usyk, but at the same time, it gives Wallin his best chance to win because it leaves AJ open to get hit, to get countered. But Wallin isn't some high-level guy. I think he's the most overrated heavyweight boxer on the planet. I think what he did against Tyson Fury made him extremely overrated. Yeah, he looked decent in that fight, but Tyson was still clearly outboxing him. The only real moment he had was when he landed, what was it, a left hook that bloodied Tyson, that cut him over his right eye, I believe. So what I think happens here is I think AJ comes out quick. I think AJ steals a few of the early rounds. I think Wallin might steal a round in there, and I think AJ finishes him in the 6th round. So I'm going to go with AJ by a mid-fight TKO. Wallin could knock him out. He has a good left hook, a good jab, a good right hook. He has decent timing, some power, even though he doesn't really knock anyone out. I think it's there. But to me, AJ is the much better boxer. He's way more technical. He hits harder. He's faster. The only thing is the mentality, and I think AJ is getting his confidence back. I think the Ben Davis switch was good for his career, and if AJ wins and Wilder wins, which I expect them both to win, that sets up the big super fight that we all want. We've all been wanting since, what, 2017, 2018? And then whoever wins that fight will fight the winner of Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk. The heavyweight division is so fun right now. I'm glad these fights are finally happening. It only took the richest people on the planet to make them happen, but whatever. As long as we get them, that's all I care about. But anyways, that is the end of the video. If you guys are new here and you did enjoy, please be sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, like the video, comment your predictions for this card in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.